getting organic sweet potato flour involves stages, and this is the second. Let me say this is the second stage. This first stage involves buying your organic sweet potato either from the farm or from recognized organic markets. There are several outlets here in Nigeria you can get from anywhere. So once you get your, just the most important thing is just to get the organic. Once you get your organic sweet potato, then bring them home. Once they are ready, then you get your tray, you get your pot, water, knife, cutter or slicer. That's the first stage. That's all you need for the the second stage. You need your tray, your potato, a big bowl or pot like this. You fill in with clean water and you get other bowl to slice the sweet potato. So once you get that, you are ready to take on the second stage. And the second stage involves peeling and slicing of the sweet potato into small pieces. And all we've been talking about since morning is how to peel and slice in order for you to get them dry easily. So you peel like you peel your normal yam, then you put them in water, then you pick from the water and slice again. In case you are the only one preparing the sweet potato, it's not actually difficult, and this might not take to peel like a 10 kg of organic sweet potato. It will just take you like an hour. If you are the only one, you peel and you slice under 1 hour, you are done. So it's not as if it's too difficult, or it's not as if it's not a single person cannot do. You can actually do it. It's not difficult at all. Thank God everybody knows how to peel. You peel, just remove the flesh, the outer flesh, put them in water, and you start slicing. So that we are on the second stage. But after the slicing, then we know the next stage to get to before we finish the production. But don't forget, we actually need enough water so that to avoid discoloration. Put as much as possible. It will not do it anything, and you don't need to add anything. No salt, nothing is actually needed, just water. Add water to the peeled potato. And in case you don't have the slicer like this, you can actually use your knife. Just make sure the slices are very, very tiny as much as possible. But the slicer is actually easy and make the slice very tiny than the knife.
Regular, you have regular tiny or thin cuts.
She said we have what?
Regular cuts, because the shapes, the thin slices will be of the same size and shape. So the regular, not like using knife. Some will be big, some slices will be small. Okay. And it might affect the drying of the sweet potato.
So this is the process you go through in peeling. Just peel everything and make sure you add enough water. If not, everything will change into like this. You can see my hand is black. This is how the potato will change, will be discolored. So in order to avoid that, you need to put them in water immediately. As you finish peeling, just put them in water.
So now, after peeling and grating or cutting, so the next stage now is to sieve the already cut sweet potato using our sieves. We can use the plastic or the aluminum one, depending on the one that we have at home. We'll make sure that we wash the sweet potato again in the water and we spread it inside the sieve. It should not be too much inside the sieve so that it will be properly drained. And immediately we are draining the sweet potato chips or the cut sweet potato, we should ensure that the air is in a place that is airy, or there is access to air, so that the drying process can start immediately while we are still draining. So this draining will be placed inside a tray for some minutes, say probably like 5 minutes, to ensure that the water has properly been drained before we spray inside the tray alone. The water content must have been reduced to a very barest minimum, and this will start from the draining process. So the drain spread inside the sieve like this, so allow all the pieces to be exposed to here, and place inside the tray for some minutes.
Have this aluminium sieve, what can we use to drink?
Is either the plastic or the aluminium sieve. I think those are the two types of sieves that we have. Is that this type of plastic, and this is much more common, or this aluminium sieve. And there are some tray sieves too. There are some trays that has been perforated like this that can even accommodate more flakes to be dried at the same time. So if we have access to that one, we can use it. But it's very preferably we use sieves so that our sweet potato flakes will not be contaminated. And as we are draining, I want to put it under fan here so that it will drain quickly, and I'll have to pour it inside the tray.
But remember we said, immediately we finish peeling, immediately we remove the peels from the potato, we should put them in water. Even when we are slicing, we ensure that they are in water. But now you are draining water from them. Hope it will not still discolor.
There's probability of discoloration, but that is why the drying process must start immediately it's being brought out of the water. Because if I spread it inside the sieve and I'm still keeping it in a moist place, there's every probability it's going to change color. But because immediately I've removed this from water, the drying process has to start immediately, so that there will be minimal form of discoloration. There is every probability that you might still get a little bit discolored, but because the drying process has started immediately, it's being brought out of the water, the discoloration process will be reduced. If we have, the sun is just coming out now, if we don't have high rate of sunlight, we can still expose it to low sunlight, so that we know that the intensity is not higher than 60 to 65 degrees centigrade.
Like the normal sunlight you get in the morning.
In the morning sunlight, exactly. And in some cases, it can even be placed inside the oven directly like that, but it's better the water will be drained a little, so that the drying process will be faster.
So in this process, which one are we using? Oven drying, air drying, or the sunlight?
I think mostly we'll be using air drying and a little bit of sunlight. And those of us that have access to oven, we can oven dry under a controlled temperature not higher than 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. Centigrade rather.
So are you saying after draining and you spread in a tray, the process, this stage has completed?
Yes, this stage has completed. We are going completely into the drying stage. We are through with the peeling, the cutting or the grating process. So we are moving over to the drying stage, which is the seminar stage before the proper milling of this sweet potato into the flour, which is the end products that we are aiming to derive from this product. We have to be very careful while using this kind of grater to avoid cuts. When our sweet potato is getting smaller, we drop it into the water. Please, I need us to take note of the side of the grater that we'll be using for the slicing of the sweet potato. For some of us that have this 6 or 7 face grater, it is the side that has a flat side. We can see it has a thin and flat side that can bring tiny pieces, unlike these other smaller holes. It's a long and a flat cut. And those of us that might be using the two-face grater like this, it has to be the center cut, the hole at the center that we're going to use. We just need to check our grater, any type of grater we are using, the one that will give us or that will produce a thin slice and not into smaller cuts like okra or any other thing. Since it's a tuber that we are going to slice into thin pieces, we'll look for the size that has the ability to give us thin cuts in a long shape that will not deform and that will not turn it into another thing. So it's very, very important, because if you use another side for the grating, you might not get the desired shape and you might have to lose a lot of the sweet potato inside water.
It's 5 minutes already.
So that we can dry some other ones. So after about 5 minutes of draining, and we are sure that the water contents that is still on the tuber has been after draining for like 5 minutes, we can be sure that we don't have much water content on the tuber. We'll now spread inside the flat tray, and we'll spread to allow space. It should not be so crowded inside the tray so that it will get dried on time. You have to spread evenly. And it's preferable we use aluminum trays than plastic trays, so that in case we want to use rays of sun, and I mean rays of sun, not hot or very high intensity sunlight, the tray itself will absorb the sunlight, the heat as the sweet potato is drying, that even when it's no longer under the source of heat, the tray can still be the source of heat that the tray has absorbed will still enable it to continue the drying process for a longer period of time. And we can now put it under room temperature or under a fan or any other cooling effect that doesn't have high intensity of heat. So like this, I'll start with rays of sun, because at this time we have just the rays of sun. There is no high heat here to start with. so that the drying process will be a bit faster at the early stage to avoid discoloration. And then when it's now getting dry, then I'll bring it inside the room temperature. And those of us that have access to oven, so we can start with a bit high temperature like between 60 and 65 degrees centigrade to ensure that the water content that is still on heat dries fast at the initial stage. So when the water content is drastically reduced, we can now keep at room temperature to continue the drying process, and then the color will have been retained, because the discoloration of this product actually depends on the early stage of drying. If we leave it in a damp environment without being in water and without having access to a good source of air or heat, it will discolor fast. No problem, we can always be cutting and cutting.
Yes, you can save that one.
It has been saved.
Then you can wait.
Spreading inside a tray with enough space to allow here. We can now bring it outside to the rays of sun. This is just the rays of sun, and we are sure that the heat that this sun is bringing is still very less than 50 to 60 degrees centigrade, and we can leave it here for the rays of sun to quicken the rate of drying first before we now keep inside the house for hair drying or for oven drying at times. But like this, we'll have to leave it for about 1 hour or 2 hours to make sure that the drying process is quickened, and it has to be where there will not be access to dirt or impurity or fly that will perch on it. And it has to be in close monitoring so that other things will not perch or other dirt will not perch while our drying process is going on.
Okay. So viewers, I think the drying is the last part of this stage. And do not forget, I said we need to start the process by buying our organic sweet potato from the nearest market or the farm or at the farm gate. Then we make sure you clean our kitchen, our utensils. We need knife, we need tray, we need big bowl or big pots. We need sieve, we need cutter or slicer, and we also need clean water. In this process, water is very, very important in order to avoid discoloration. Then you peel your organic sweet potato. You make sure you have a very light peel. Don't make it that thick. If you make it thick, that means you are removing all the flesh from the organic sweet potato. So just be removing the slices small. Then after that, you make sure you you put them directly in a bowl of water. Put them in the bowl of water, then you pick from the bowl of water and slice. You need to add another water in the second bowl that you are slicing, so that as you are picking from water, you are also dropping inside another water. And as you've been told, you have to make sure your slices are very light, and it has to be regular, as in the same size, so that they will dry faster than you expected. Then after the slicing, the next thing is to drain your sliced potato. You can use this aluminium sieve or the plastic one to drain. The most important thing is that you drain for like 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the size you put in each sleeve. You make sure the water is completely drained, and you put, immediately you are removing from that water, you know that the drying process has started. You put them, make sure there is air wherever you are putting them, maybe under the fan or an open place. So immediately you finish draining, after 10 or 5 minutes, you now remove from the sieve and put them in a flat tray or a flat surface. It could be tray, it could be table like this. Make sure they are very clean. If needed, you wash them and you dry them before you spread your organic sweet potato. Make sure you have to avoid every contamination because it is organic, and you know in organic we do not encourage us eating substance that will affect our health. So you make sure the table or the platform is very clean, and then you now dry you just spread your sliced potato. You spread in such a way that they are very light. They are not on each other. They will be very light and not in a way that the water will be, the air will be able to enter the sliced potato. You've been told that we can oven dry at a regulated temperature, 60 to 65 degree centigrade. Then after that, you can also use a ray of light, a ray of sunlight ray, like the one we have early in the morning, so that the heat will not be too much, or we air dry. The air drying is it's a combination of the two. Anyway, the process we are using a bit of the sun, and we are air drying everything. Then I think that's the last page, which we have spread our sweet potato outside, and the next stage we will let you know after the short while. Thank you for listening.